I told my husband I was pregnant, and he panicked. You ruined everything. I didn't want this child. That same night, he packed his things and left for his young colleague. I was left alone. But years later, I have been married to Chad for 4 years, together for 7. We had talked about having kids someday, but never put a firm timeline on it. I was on birth control. But about 3 months ago, I had that stomach bug that was going around, and well, antibiotics and birth control don't always play nice together. When I first missed my period, I didn't think much of it. My cycle has always been a bit irregular, especially when I'm stressed, and work had been particularly demanding. But when I started feeling nauseous in the mornings, I bought a pregnancy test on my lunch break. 2 pink lines, clear as day. I took 3 more tests over the next 2 days, all positive. I was shocked, scared, but also excited. I know it wasn't planned. But once the initial surprise wore off, I started picturing our future as a family. I've always wanted to be a mom. And even though the timing wasn't perfect, I thought Chad would come around once he got past the initial shock. I waited a week to tell him, wanting to plan the perfect moment. I wasn't going to do anything elaborate like those Instagram announcements with letterboards and confetti. That's not us. Instead, I made his favorite dinner, lasagna with garlic bread, and bought a bottle of his favorite bourbon for him, and sparkling cider for me. I even wore the blue dress he always compliments me on. I wanted it to be special, even if it wasn't planned. The whole time I was cooking, I kept rehearsing how I'd tell him. Should I just say it outright? Make a joke? I settled on something simple after dinner. I have some news that's going to change our lives. Chad came home around 7, later than usual. He seemed distracted, checking his phone constantly. Not unusual lately. He'd been working on a big project with his team. He barely noticed the nice dinner, just mumbled something about it looking good, and poured himself a generous glass of bourbon before I could even mention the special occasion. During dinner he was quiet, responding with one-word answers when I tried to make conversation. I asked about his day, his project, anything to get a conversation flowing, but he just shrugged or gave minimal responses. Something felt off, but I chalked it up to work stress. After we finished eating, I took a deep breath and reached for his hand across the table. I remember my exact words. Chad, I'm pregnant. The silence that followed felt like hours. His face went through a series of emotions. Blank, pale, then something I'd never seen before. Anger mixed with panic. When he finally spoke, he asked if I was joking. When I assured him I wasn't, that I'd taken 4 tests, things quickly spiraled. I'll never forget what he said next. You ruined everything. I didn't want this child. I tried explaining that it was an accident, probably due to the antibiotics interfering with my birth control. I thought we could figure it out together like we always had with other challenges. That's when he dropped the bomb that maybe he never wanted children at all. He claimed he only went along with my someday plans to keep me happy, but it was always just a hypothetical future to him. I asked if there was someone else, and his reaction told me everything before he even admitted it. When pressed, he finally confessed he'd been seeing Vanessa for a few months. Vanessa, his colleague he'd mentioned, was brilliant and bringing fresh ideas to the team, the one who was 24, 7 years younger than me. While I was still processing this double betrayal, Chad started packing. Not just an overnight bag, but a suitcase full of clothes and essentials. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My husband was literally walking out on me the same night I told him I was pregnant. When I asked where he was going, he admitted he was heading to Vanessa's place, for now. Within 30 minutes of my pregnancy announcement, Chad was standing by our front door with his suitcase, telling me he'd come back for the rest of his stuff later. I asked him if he was seriously doing this, just walking out on his pregnant wife. His response? I can't be a father. I'm not ready. I pointed out that no one is ever completely ready for parenthood, but that's not how life works. He just mumbled, I'm sorry, and said he'd call in a few days. Then he was gone, just like that. He thought he could just leave and come back whenever he wanted, but this time, it will be different. I'm not going to sit around and wait for him to realize his mistake. I can't tell you what I did in this short video. The full story is on the channel, link below.